Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about engineering managers and careers. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, do you find that some engineers make the mistake of thinking that it is their manager's job to take care of their employees' growth? Well, technically that is what they're supposed to be doing, or one of the things they should be doing, but it's sort of like one of those things we say that we're supposed to be doing when in reality other things are happening. Sort of how, the government is supposed to take care of you, and that is true if you have the right person. If you have the wrong person, they're a corrupt fuck who steals all your money. Or are they someone who's so incompetent that they can't help you anyway? It's always, as I say, it's always down to the person. It's all down to execution. Nothing ideologically sane or anything that has to do with ideology or what should and should not happen has any whatsoever impact unless execution is, well, feasible. Execution is everything. It's always going to be everything. It doesn't matter what you think or what should be. Execution is what matters. And the sad part is that a lot of software developers, they don't really, I wouldn't say that they care so much. I've never really met all that many software developers who make the mistake of thinking that it's their engineering manager's job to fix their personal growth. It's more the fact that they forget where their value comes from, and it's the human laziness problem. And I truly have I only see this reconfirmed over and over and over. The only time consistently an average person is going to do anything is either if they really want to or if they're scared in some fashion. And the problem with work or working in an industry where you get a little bit too comfortable is usually that you get complacent, and usually what happens after you get complacent is that you stop caring about doing a good job. And the sad fact is that if you do that for long enough, it's only going to bite you in the ass, and it doesn't really matter. It's sort of what I tell people who are a little bit, as I said, a little bit, I don't know what to call them. Let's call them uninformed. That it really doesn't matter what you have been told is true. You have to look at what reality is, and the reality is that your software engineering manager has very little in terms of consequences, as I said. Like if they don't want to help you, and it's not that they are not gonna help you, it's more that they have a lot of other shit going on. Sort of as I used to tell tell the kids that I used to work with teenagers and so forth, when we were talking about how teachers were bad in school, and I kind of told them that yes, it sucks that teachers are bad in school, but the reality is that if they don't want to help you and you make it difficult for them, you're the one who's gonna end up cleaning toilets for the rest of your life, or you're not gonna be able to progress all that much, because it doesn't matter to them if you pass the grade or not. It's not necessarily something that might reflect poorly that's going to affect them. In some cases, of course, I'm talking in general terms here now, but it's the same thing here with your engineering manager. Your engineering manager, their manager, who's gonna care if you don't get the personal growth? The only thing that potentially can happen is that you quit, and then it comes back to the same thing that always is the factor, which is that incompetence is very difficult to track down in some cases. That's why we have a lot of it, because if you quit, how will your engineering manager's manager know why you quit? How will they be able to figure out if this is a good engineering manager or a bad one? I've never seen an engineering manager or anyone like that get fired for anything at all, apart from being a bad office culture fit or something like that, where they're so overt that the manager notices that this is a bad personality to have around. But in terms of competence and all the things that they're supposed to be doing and executing on, never seen it. And that's sort of the issue, right? When you don't really know what good results are. And I actually had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine. I was talking about the complexities with dealing with people like this, where you don't really understand what is necessary to what is important in order to achieve something, and you're dealing with people who themselves are incompetent to the point where they don't understand what's possible, what's not possible, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is the problem in IT, really, where like I've had engineers who have the years, but they do not have the ability to solve problems, and they make, I'm not saying a mistake, but they get complacent or something like that, and they don't care anymore, and they just kind of say things like, "Oh no, this can't be done," etc., etc. And then the product owner or who like manager or so forth is also too incompetent to figure out whether or not that is true, which means that we're left in the situation where the company actually gets harmed by the fact that you have a chain of incompetence. And so that employer growth is, it's usually down to the fact that the individual, like the software developer, does not understand that it is in their best interest to grow themselves. That's very common. And the second part is, as they don't understand that their manager, even though it might be conceptually their job to help them grow, it does not matter if they do so or not, similar to how a software developer's this requirement that you should have a business mindset is far from the norm. In some companies there are absolutely people who are good enough to spot when a software developer knows how to, actually do more than coding and think and not just be a code monkey. But a lot of companies don't understand that, and they don't know, and so it's not, there's really no impact, there's no incentive. It's sort of how, if the, well, I don't want to say it this way, but if crime ever goes unpunished, or if you allow, this is the idea at the very least, if you allow people to, if you put them in a position where there are no consequences or no one's keeping watch on them, they will sort of show disgusting behavior. The internet would be an example of that. And it's the same thing here. So I don't really see all that many software developers, as I said, have the issue that they think that the manager should help them with their growth. What I do see is, as I said, more that the software developers stop understanding what meaningful growth means, and they stagnate to the point where, well, some of them are lucky enough that they are talented and so forth and so forth, and some of them are lucky in a different sort of way, where the industry is so incompetent at figuring out who knows what they're doing and who doesn't know what they're doing, that they can still get customers and keep on fucking up the world's code bases. But they, yeah, I don't know. I know that we say that lifelong learning is a good thing and that it's part of this journey, etc., etc., but I keep on seeing the same thing over and over. The only thing that really is consistent is that when you are fresh, you will work really hard because you're scared and you don't know and so forth and so forth. But the second things get a little bit easy and you don't have to care, you stop caring. So what I want you to take away from this is that, no, I would say that most software developers are sort of like, they don't really think of their engineering manager as someone who is responsible for their personal growth. The miscommunication or the misalignment is usually when the companies don't feel like they should invest in the growth of their software developers. But at the same time, that's very difficult, as I said, because even if you were to care about helping them grow, most of them don't give a shit. They really don't. there are, you should, and this is why I tell people, you should look at the investment into people's growth as something that you place on the right individuals, because some software developers really want to be better, they want to take responsibility, they want to push things. These are the people you need to identify and invest in, and don't fuck all this like PC bullshit where oh, everybody's equal, and the idiot who doesn't even take the time to learn how to write proper unit tests should have the same course material and access to free learning resources as the person who is really pushing it. That should be a privilege, and it should be something that you invest in, because you should groom the people who are really good to success. These are the people you should invest in, and the people who don't want to take part in that, you keep them around just because they're able to fulfill the position, and when they get outdated, you dispose of them just as a faulty component in a clock, because it's unfortunately a situation where it has to be symbiotic. The company and the managers and so forth, they should want to invest in their people, but their people have to have the desire to grow at the same time. And if one is misaligned, then the situation cannot be resolved. Both parties have to really want to see the growth of the individual and then the benefit of the organization as a result of that growth. Have a great day.